All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Sunny Gold with Zencastr. I've got some guests joining us today. So Adrian is joining us. So is Josh. They're both co-founders of Zencastr. Hey, guys. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, what's going on, Sunny? Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, it's been an exciting week plus.
Sunny, I think you're muted.
Yeah, just jump right into mute. Doing it live.
That's so weird. Maybe the system didn't like me very much. No, I was just saying that this has been a big week for us at Zencastr. We had a huge release come out. We know a lot of you guys have questions. We do these webinars, just to kind of give a little plug for it. We do these every Thursday. But today's webinar is going to be a little bit different because Josh and Adrian are here with us. And we really wanted to give you guys an overview of the new features and how you can use them and how they can help benefit your podcast. And then, of course, answer any questions that you have. So before we kind of dive into this, let's talk about how you guys can, and I hear some like little pops going off, which means you guys are already asking questions and connecting with us, which is awesome. But let's go over how you guys can post your questions and everything inside of our webinar program here, okay? So there is a chat function, and you guys should be able to see that. If you guys want to say, hey, we'd love to know where you guys are from. It's always fun to see, people all over the world use Zencastr. So if you want to tell us, what country, what state you're in, that's awesome. You want to tell us the name of your podcast, that's cool too. So that is chat. That's just for really you guys to chat it up, okay? We are going to be monitoring primarily the questions tab. Okay, so if you tab over, you'll see a questions tab, and no one's posted anything yet. But once someone posts a question, you have the option of upvoting the question, and that can really help us out. There's a lot of people that are scheduled to be part of today's call, so we want to answer all of your questions. But some of you guys may have the same question. So if you see that someone else has already posted something similar, please upvote. And we have a whole team of people behind the scenes. Some of our marketing people are there. Our customer support people are there to answer questions as we go through and as we do this discussion and show you all the cool things that we now have to offer. But yeah, you're here live, so make use of the chat function. And then there may be some polls that I start to release as we go through. We just want to know a little bit more about who's on the call and, the different ways that you're using Zencastr and how it's helping your show, okay? So I may post some polls throughout. This is being recorded, so replay is going to go out. If you guys need to go take care of something and come back, if you miss something or whatever, that goes out pretty quickly, I think almost right after the webinar is done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can get going here. All right. Okay, so this is our new homepage, just switched over, right? And, I like to start these webinars by telling you guys what Zencastr is. I'm going to assume that most people are already using Zencastr, right? So I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about this, but, we are known for high quality audio and video recording. And with this latest release, we have now become an all-in-one solution for podcasters. I think this is really exciting, you guys. I'm a podcaster. I've been podcasting for a long time. And I know what it's like to have to go to several platforms in order to have to, to get your podcast done, to have all the tools that you feel like you need, in order to, produce a good show, put it out there so the world can see, monetize it. And we're trying to simplify this for you. And so a lot of tools have just been released, which of course we're going to talk more about today. But if we were to kind of narrow this down, as I mentioned, we're known for recording. And we've actually bumped up our recording for the video. You can actually get up to 4K video now. So we've enhanced that. Producing, we've got more tools to help you combine your files, run things through our post-production system, do some automatic things that make your podcast sound really awesome. We now have hosting, guys, for both audio and video, depending on which plan you have. We're going to talk about plans in just a second. But that's really exciting too. Again, trying to bring everything in-house. I remember a lot of times people asking us, okay, we've recorded our podcast. Now what do we do with the files? So you get that question enough and it kind of, a little bell goes off like, okay, we need to provide a hosting solution as well. And there's not that many, providers out there that are giving you an RSS feed for video. And video, as we know, is becoming more and more important. So this is a really awesome feature. Okay, we're providing you guys with stats to be able to track your show, to know how things are going, who's listening, where are they listening from, good stuff like that. And then monetization. All right. So we want you guys to be able to make money with your podcasts. We don't want you to pod fade. We want you to have the tools that you need in order to continue to grow. And a lot of times, the number one reason people pod fade is because they can't justify the cost. So we have, used some incredible tools that our engineers have built to simplify this, to make it easier for advertisers to connect with you guys, for you guys to, easily through your dashboard, be able to say yay or nay to different ad options. And again, just simplify the whole process. Okay. We also have an ambassador pro. We've got a couple of different things up here. We talk about Zencastr's Creator Network. And this is a really great program that we have. It's kind of like an internal network for us. And the network, I'm not going to talk a lot about it today, but it's something in addition that you can join. So this is in addition to whatever plan that you would have with Zencastr. But we're going to be doing some really cool things with this group. You may be testers for us. I know we're in the process now of getting ready to launch the Zencastr app. And so we're asking our Creator Network for feedback on that. So you might get early access to some things, but also the monetization, right? Connecting you with advertisers and us helping your show grow in that capacity as well. So if you want more information on this, or if that sounds like something you might be interested in, I would encourage you to go to our website and click this link. Much more information is going to come out about that, and that's not going to be the focus of today's webinar, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew that we do have that now, and we're committed to helping you guys with your show because we want you to be successful. And then alongside of that, part of that is our ambassador program. We've been asked a lot over the years, do you guys have an ambassador program? How can we tell our audience about how great you guys are? And we certainly appreciate that. So now we have made this official, and that's all part of the Creator Network. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that really quickly. And now what I want to do is go to the dashboard and show you around a little bit. Actually, before I do that, let me click on pricing. Okay. I want to talk about pricing. I know this can, kind of bog down things, but I wanted you guys to be aware as I show you some of these different tools and stuff you have access to. As a result, we've had to change our pricing a little bit. Zencastr is known as having a platform that is completely free, at least an option that's completely free. That did not go away. So I want to make that crystal clear. You can still record with Zencastr completely free. It's our free plan over here. We also have a free plus. And then we have some paid options. So I just wanted to show you this. This link, by the way, guys, is zencastr.com/pricing. This is what we're calling like our individual plans. This is going to fit most podcasters. If you happen to be joining us today and you have a business, or if you're like me and you have a podcast network, you can learn a little bit more about our plans over here for businesses. Okay. People that need more, to invite more people to the account, right? So have more seats that are part of their plan and assign different permissions, things like that. Okay. So I don't want to, I know you guys can't really read this. This print's really small, but if you go to the website, I just want to point out the plans have changed a little bit. We still have the free plan. We will always have a free plan for you guys. But now we've got some additional options, which are really cool. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the dashboard. So if you guys can see my mouse, I know it gets kind of small here, but I'm in the top right portion of the screen, and I'm just going to go to dashboard. And when you log in, just like with Zencastr before, when you log in, you're going to be brought to the Zencastr dashboard. All right. So dark mode, hello, right? Did you guys notice that? I don't know how anyone could not see it. There's a few reasons that we did this. We were getting some feedback on that now. But when you are recording video, it is helpful to have dark mode so it doesn't interfere with your recording process. Personally, I'm a fan of dark mode. I know not everybody is, but that's one of the reasons that we changed it. Okay, so while we're here, I want to talk about some things. Let's start over here on the, what is this, the left? The left column here. So this is your account, right? You now have the ability to add a photo, do some cool things like that. If you click this, though, this is how you're going to access your account page. So for those of you who have been with us for a while, before this was a link in the main navigation that said account. So there's a couple ways to access it. I find that the easiest is just to click on the big logo over here. You could also come up to the, I'm on the other corner now if you guys can't see my mouse, on the right side, and click it there, and the same thing happens. So this is your settings page, and then you have tabs over here that we can go through really quickly here. So some of this is self-explanatory. Here's your payment, right? It's going to tell you what your plan is, when it's going to renew. If you have a plan, so we're on what we call the growth plan for the purposes of this demo. So we have the free, we've got the professional plan, and now we've added something called growth. And with that, one of the great benefits is to add other team members. So if you do have this plan or higher, in here, you're going to see an option, and you would just invite them by email. You can have them have access to all the shows, or if you have other shows listed in your account, you can give them access to certain shows. And then these are the permissions over here, okay? So you guys can play around with that. Send them an invite, name your team, all that good stuff. So that's a new feature I wanted to point out. With recording, some of these were available with the previous version of Zencastr, but now we've put this all part of the settings page over here. So enabling wave recordings, you can turn that off if you want, if you just wanted to record MP3, enabling Soundboard, VoIP, turning that on and off for those of you who may be using a third-party program to record and you don't necessarily want to use the VoIP. Voice over IP from Zencastr, you can do that, as well as echo cancellation. And then the cloud option too, okay? So all of this, with the exceptions really of Teams, was part of the previous platform. It's just now we've kind of moved it over and it's all part of your settings page, okay? All right, so the other things that you can see over here, this is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. If you click on podcast, this is going to give you these tabs right here, which is, probably where you're going to, again, spend most of your time. We do have an analytics page too. Now, this is a brand new account, you guys, so there's not that much to see here, but you can get some analytics, for your account in total, right? So how many episodes, downloads, number of shows, and things like that. So I just wanted to point this out. Downloads by time of day, listener retention, downloads over time. Like I said, this is a brand new account, which is why you see this spike here. And then we can show you your downloads by location. Okay, and this is for everything that's part of your account. You can adjust the dates over here. And then if you are running ads, so either using our tools to run your own dynamic insertion ads, or part of Creator Network, the information for your podcast ads would appear here. So we've got a couple different tabs at the top. And this, again, is all part of analytics over here. If you don't want to look at analytics, then you're going to be on the podcast page. Okay. So real quickly, I wanted to show you and tell you a little bit more about these tabs so you can kind of get the lay of the land. In the previous version of Zencastr, when you logged in, you saw, it's kind of the same setup, right? This is kind of what the dashboard, it does look a little bit different, a little more fancy, but where it says rooms, think of those as recordings. Okay, so just like you logged into the dashboard before, when you log in, you see all of your recordings. You can go back into these recordings and do, what you could do previously with the previous version. Okay, and that's rooms. Okay, so think of rooms as recordings. If you, well, let's go through these tabs, and I'll tell you how you can create a new recording, and you will go through that process. Okay. Shows. Okay, shows are your podcasts. And so I've created some fake ones here. Don't go searching for them. They're not on Apple Podcasts. Depending on your plan, you can have multiple podcasts added. So this gets into a little bit more the hosting side of Zencastr, right? And if you click on this, then it would open it up and show the different episodes that are part of it. And you can do a lot of cool things with this. So you can click on this and, you can go back, you can re-edit. Gives you all the information over here. So I don't want to go too deep into all of that because I want to see, again, I want to give kind of an overview of everything and then see what questions you guys have. But this is how you would go back into previous episodes and check those out. Okay, you just click on the actual show. All right. And then episodes, this is, the episodes that you have that are part of your Zencastr account. So instead of just breaking it down by shows, you can see all of your episodes, just a different view of things. And then offers would be if we've given you any kind of offers for the Creator Network for working with our advertisers. So you could click on these and learn more. It's always fun when something new pops up and, an advertiser wants to work with your show. So this is where you would find those. Okay. So what I want to do now is, for those of you who are like, I just want to know how to record. Okay, let's talk about that because there's a lot of bells and whistles here and it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of, get used to everything. We understand that. We've tried to lay things out as best we can, but I'm sure we're going to make tweaks as we go. And by the way, that's another great reason that you guys are part of this webinar because we take your feedback very, very seriously, right? We want to hear what you guys have to say. And that more times than not ends up in the product in the future, right? So please, we want to hear from you. We want to know what your thoughts are. So we appreciate you that in advance. Okay, if you want to create a new recording, so let's just talk about recordings or rooms, okay? The best thing and easiest thing to do, come up here to new, and then you've got some options here. But right now we're just talking about rooms or recordings. So if you just want to do a recording, you don't want to tie it to a show, an episode, you're like, I just got to do this recording really quick, whatever. Click on room. And then the rest of the process is very similar to what we had with the previous version of Zencastr. Okay, so I'm just going to say this. It's all caps here. Welcome to Zencastr. It's the name of the room. You can call it whatever you want. This is a little bit different here. So you could assign it if you had, your podcast with us, you can assign it to a specific podcast, right? If you've set that up in advance. So let's say, I want this to be part of Wonderful Webinars. Okay. And then your recording modes, right? This is all similar for those of you who have recorded with us before. None of this has really changed. And then you would click create, and then it will take you into the recording room like normal. Oh no. Let's see. Well, I don't want to add a payment option now. Let's see. What can I do here? Let me hop into, let's see.
Give support your email that's associated with this, Sunny.
Oh, okay.
And we can upgrade you on the fly.
Okay.
Lynn or Jeanette or whoever is on this call.
All right. I can always hop into another account too.
Yeah.
All right, I just sent it over to you guys. If you guys could add that, that'd be great. So you can see when I created a new room, right? It popped up here just like it would, in the previous version of Zencastr. And then I can also just click that to go back into that once I've got access here. Well, let's, while we're waiting on that, let's kind of, let me show you some other stuff here. So you notice when I clicked on new, I had the option of doing other things too, right? So I could create a new episode, right, for a show that I have on Zencastr, or when we say show, we're talking about podcasts. So if you had that as part of your plan, right, if you had another podcast, enough room in your plan to be able to add a podcast, you could certainly do that. And so anything new, right? That's why we call it new. Anything new up there would be added. Let me see. I might be able to as well. Let me log into a different account because I don't want everyone to have to wait here. Let's see. All right, guys. So you guys get to see my personal account here. All right, let's go up to new. And we'll go into room. All right, so we'll just do welcome to Zencastr again. Okay, we'll just leave it as the playground, record audio and video. Okay, voila. All right, I'm in multiple places now. So this recording page looks pretty similar, right? I think some of the things that have changed, the invite button is now over here. Do you guys see my cursor? Okay, so I'm in the top right now. You can click invite. This is how you would invite your guests. Before, it was over on this side. Obviously, we've got the dark mode here now, but the layout is pretty similar. Things may be labeled a little differently. Like, I'm not sure this said call settings before, but this is your settings page. And it's the same thing too. When your guests come, they still come into the green room, right? You still have to, they still, click the join button and come in here. So that is still another step, but everything is pretty similar over here. All right. So let's go back. Let's see. And I mean, I could show you, since I'm already on this account, I'll go back to analytics so you can see some of the stuff. So you can see the downloads, number of episodes. I don't have a lot of content in this account, but at least some of the numbers are going to pop up for you guys now. Okay. Downloads, time of day, listener retention, downloads over time. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys that just to give you a little bit better idea. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see, was there anything else that I needed to talk about on this page? I think that's kind of the basic overview, right, of things. So let's bring you guys back. I want to see what questions you guys have, and we can go from there. Josh, Adrian, was there anything you guys wanted to add as that brief overview? Is there anything that I missed that you think we need to bring up before we go to questions?
So just one thing, because I think this is maybe one of the hard parts to wrap your mind around, is we used to call the places that you would meet people episodes. So this is why we changed it to rooms, is because episodes now are actually podcast episodes, published podcast episodes. And rooms are a place where you can have multiple recordings. So what you'll see on this list here is you'll see a link that you can send out, and you guys can do multiple recordings within that room. It's the exact same as it was before, it's just named different. But when you go on your dashboard, it's not going to be a list of each individual recording. It's going to be a list of each of those individual links that you can record multiple recordings in.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the questions that are coming in, and feel free, guys, continue to ask questions, and we'll just keep bringing them up here. There was a question about offering live capability. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that a little bit. The question was, do you anticipate ever offering kinds of live production tools, something like StreamYard?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. This is something that has been, requested ever since the beginning. A lot of people are even currently using our rooms to do small live audiences just as guests. And so we see a demand there for that. It is something that is on the roadmap. We don't have an ETA, but we definitely see it as a really great way for podcasters to connect with their super fans and just have really great intimate experiences live as well as afterwards. So on the roadmap.
One thing that I didn't talk about that I think it's worth discussing, I'm going to do a really quick recording here because we didn't go in and talk about some of the post-production tools. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do with that now. So if I do a quick little recording here, I think it's going to give me the option of going through post-production. We had a question while we're waiting on this. We had a question about transcriptions. So the question is from Timothy, who wants to know, how does it compare to Descript? Because he says he's not totally happy with them, or Otter.ai.
I can take that one. So Zencastr actually has their own transcription. We have our own transcription models. You can get transcriptions from a lot of places now, and they usually piggyback on models that are maybe a little bit more off the shelf. And the trade-off there is they are a little bit lower accuracy. for us, we made our own specifically for podcasting, using audio that was recorded in podcasts. So we have, I think, a little bit higher accuracy than you might see in Otter or Descript, specifically for podcasting, because that's what Zencastr is about. So we know relatively where we stack up in terms of what's called a word error rate, where it's the percentage of errors that you'll have in your transcript. And for us, we are probably in the 8 to 10% range, where something like Otter might be in 12 to 15%, and that adds up, right? That's, if you're talking for hours, those little errors definitely start multiplying pretty quickly. So this is something that has been actively worked on for now years, and we're continuing to improve. So love your feedback around transcriptions, how you think they reflect on your podcast. And we have some stuff coming out pretty soon that I think is gonna take those transcriptions, make your workflows easier, help you grow, and help you monetize.
Okay, so our recording is done. That really, that short test recording I did. So if you do want to run your recording through our post-production service, very similar. You click the button. It may have been a green button before. It's now blue. Okay. That's a horrible picture of me, but we'll forget about that for now. All right, so you've got some options over here. And so this is the recording that we just did. So we want to make sure that that is selected. Oh, this is for publish, right? So if I wanted to publish this automatically, I could do that. Is it going to let me go back? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. You may have questions about credits. Do you guys remember the credits previously? Obviously, that's still part of our system. It's down here. Okay. So this is because this is all about post-production. So we just added the credits to the section where it really does focus on post-production. And then if you need to add credits, it tells you how many credits that you have over there. And then let's see. I have this. Okay. Is this where I do it? Okay.
Yeah, and I can do.
Am I in the right? Yeah, go ahead. Guide me through this, Adrian.
One,
but yeah.
Sunny.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Give me 1 second while I find my correct podcast. I'll present my screen from here.
Okay, perfect.
Because I think this is where we're definitely going to have some of our questions, but also there's a lot of improvements really across the board for audio only and video podcasters. I mean, all different type of podcasters. It's kind of one of the big ethos that we had with this release is really aiming it at two big goals: growth and monetization for podcasters, regardless of how they record. And let me kind of bring some of that stuff up now.
While you're working on that, Adrian, we can go through another question or so. Here's another one about transcriptions. When will transcriptions download with the files when the recording is done? I think that's, will transcriptions download?
Yeah. So
God.
Yes, they will. Absolutely. You can download your transcriptions in multiple ways. You can download them from your recording room. You can also download them as a zip file. So you only have to click download once. The way you would do it is you would go to your recording here on the right-hand rail when you're in Produce, and you click the three-dot menu, click download, and that would get all of your files, your audio, your video, if you recorded video, as well as your transcriptions and footnotes. So you should have everything that was a part of that recording that you need to take into your own post-production process. That was a big part of how we designed this as well, is making it so that a lot of podcasters can graduate into the different features. If you're just doing recording with us today, you don't have to do hosting or publishing with us we think you should, because we made that very streamlined. But you can also have that happen on your existing host. Same thing with if you are hosting with us, you don't have to just use our editing tools. You can use your current workflow and re-upload your source files, audio or video that you need to actually host with us. So we've made it pretty flexible to be able to jump in and out and work with the workflow that you have while we iterate and improve on this workflow so that it can, we hope, become your main workflow that saves you time and makes you money. So
Just
do another question, or I could demo this as well.
Clarification there. I think I've heard from some other people, and this might have been what this question is about, is that the transcripts right now aren't getting synced to the cloud drive automatically with Wave and MP3. That's actually just an issue that we need to fix. So if that's what that question was about, that's going to be changed soon.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
There's also a question in here for transcripts about, it's one thing to have transcripts for your raw audio, but now we're allowing people to upload episodes and hosting and all of that. So Aaron has a question about allowing transcripts for finished episodes. And is that in the timeline or the pipeline?
So we have transcriptions for post-productions. I'd have to check on if we have them for uploads. We have them for, I'll actually have to check on that and get back to you, but I can do that even within the context of this call. If we have, for any of the engineers who are on here, someone can ask Pavel, and he might be able to help us answer that question.
All right, cool. Adrian, if you want to give us a demo of the post-production, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. So this one I recorded audio, excuse me, I recorded both audio and video with the intent of publishing as a video podcast. Now there's a lot to this produce page. There is also going to be a lot iterated on within this produce page. We've been hearing feedback. Some things are not as intuitive as they might, as we might have initially thought, and that is great to hear that feedback. This is something that we wanted to push out a good foundation and then work with everybody who loves the platform, get their feedback to help improve it. And so over the next coming weeks, we're going to be making UX improvements to make this a little bit sleeker, make it a little bit more intuitive for you if you are a video podcaster or if you're an audio only podcaster as well. Right now, what you can do, I think, or a lot of questions that we see are around, how do I edit? How do I get post-production similar to what I had before? And what else is there that you can offer me with what you've released? And so the best way to kind of find out all of the new features is there's this edit button right here. It's in blue. It's up top near your video. If you click that, that brings up this editing sidebar. And within here, you can do a lot of different things. One of the pieces of feedback we had was people just want to rename some of their participants, which you can now do. This is fully editable. It is synced to what the name is on the invite that you sent them. You can add and remove participants here, or you can primarily just remove participants here. If you had a producer who was just hanging out on the call with their video off and you didn't really need their feed, you can now remove them. And then we've added this, or we've extended and really branded this feature called Smart Filters. So what are these? These are a class of actions that a lot of podcasters do to their podcasts that really take a lot of time. Like if you have a lot of filler words, if you're like myself and you say and ah a lot, and you are spending a lot of time removing those ums and ahs from your content, now you can just click leave or mute. And what mute will do is, in your video, if you're a video podcaster, it'll mute that audio within the video. And if you're an audio podcaster, it'll cut that from your actual audio files. So the goal here is just really to help you streamline some of your processes, the small edits that mount up and multiply that really make it difficult to edit a podcast, especially when you're under a time crunch and you had a guest like me who says ums and ahs all the time. One of the really cool things about this is how intelligent it is. It's powered by not only AI that has accurate transcriptions that can detect the ums and ahs clearly, but also there's a lot of baked in ability to know which is a narrative something that you're saying that contributes to the story, and which one is more of a potential defect. And that can essentially take out the bits of audio that are maybe problematic while leaving in the ones that contribute to the story. So we've tried to make a lot of the assumptions that we make on your behalf to save you time as intelligent as possible so that it isn't problematic for you or overreaching and taking control of what you're doing. So there's smart filters. Anything to add or questions about that? I can't really see the screen right now, so I'm not sure.
There's a comment, like Katie said, the deleter sounds amazing, which I agree. As someone who's podcasted for a while, we all do it, and removing it is nice.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see.
Footnotes here. If you generate footnotes, you can now, I did not have footnotes for this one, but you can now use them to navigate into your, through the timeline of your podcast. And for the audio, you have the selection if you're a pro user to use WAV or MP3 as the source, as well as your post-production, what was called were the settings that in the older Zencastr where you would change your post-production settings. That's called audio quality, original or enhanced. Enhanced is all of the post-production options that we have here. We have some kind of smart presets, but you guys can change them if you need to change the LUFS to something other than what's kind of like podcast standard. All of that exists within this advanced audio settings menu. So everything that you had before, you have now. Noise reduction has been improved as well. So some of the background noises, squeaky chairs, that sort of stuff will definitely be way less apparent, hopefully saving you more time on editing again. And then we jump into some of the video stuff, which I think there's a lot that we've been building on for a while with the video side of things. There's a lot of different layouts. There's the Zen layout, which actually, let me go ahead and jump back here and see if I can't get a 2-participant call going. Do I have mostly do my solo recordings. It's called Let Me Just Show You, so hopefully I'm just showing someone something. Believe I had my custom active speaker. Well, even if I only have, I think, 1-ish participants here. There we go. This is something I wanted to point out. So a lot of our audio-only podcasters are coming in and they're seeing kind of like this layout. What is it? It is a kind of audio-only video creation. Why would you like that if you are an audio-only creator? So if you look at kind of this release and a lot of stuff that we have been we've been developing, there's definitely a big emphasis on video. Why such an emphasis on video? Well, video is really just a vehicle for the audio. It's just a way that really helps you increase the kind of surface area of where you can find your potential audience. For anybody who's been podcasting for a while, it's sometimes hard to get engagement on social media if you're just sending raw audio there. It's not how people are really trained to consume. And so you have different companies who have come out to try to improve that specific aspect of growth. Companies like Headliner, I know there's more out there that try to create something that's visually dynamic to get people invested in your story. And my personal background is from the sort of video side of things, and so I've been able to see kind of both worlds of video creation and audio creation. And I think that the video can be a great vehicle for that audio to help you reach the audience that is out there consuming content on these platforms. And the way that they consume and what they're most interested in is video. The goal is to bring them into your audio experience. And so this gives you a way to where if you are an audio only creator, you can start growing your podcast through video. There's nothing around you having to publish it. It does not add much time to the post-production process. We've been releasing things since our launch last week, where those were the things that contributed more to the audio post-production process taking longer than video. But the video itself is just something that's added on top of what you're doing as an audio-only podcaster, and is really here to help you grow when you want to use it. It's not something that is required for you as a audio-only podcaster to be able to proceed through the flow. And if it is, that's something that we definitely want to fix and have kind of eyes on. Our goal here, again, is to help podcasters grow. Video as a sort of new technology to help audio podcasters is one of the ways that we think we can really help grow to your full potential. So this view right here is an example of that. There's a lot of other different ways you can create as an audio only podcaster some video that is potentially a bit more dynamic. For example, this layout, the Zen speaker layout, it'll switch the two participants based off of who's talking for this podcast. I can also do things like upload images for individual participants so that you can actually create a little sort of back and forth story between the two podcasters, or the two participants. Let me see if I can find a good image here. Let me just go ahead and upload this. Is there any questions that are coming out of this? Is this understandable to people?
There's something, Adrian. It's somewhat related. There's a question about audio only podcasts and video podcasts. Are they posted the same way? Is the question.
Yeah. So when we get into the distribution, talking about distribution, I think we will jump a little bit more into how your options that you have to post your podcast. Right now, Zencastr offers unlimited free audio podcasting with RSS to a bunch of the major destinations for everyone, regardless of what plan you're on. We believe very strongly that that podcasting is backed by RSS. That's what differentiates podcasts from like a YouTube video. And that it's a medium that we want to support, and we want to support all of the creators who use podcasting. So unlimited audio is one of the things that came out last week. It's on our pricing page. We haven't really talked about it much, but you can import your show today. It's actually a really simple process. We might want to show that. I don't have any pictures on here on my laptop of people. But yeah, so we have both video support for video podcasts as well as video RSS, as well as audio only RSS. So it kind of spans the whole gamut to meet you wherever you are for whatever type of podcast you're creating. This is like the closest. Yeah, so this one is, you do all different types of things now to make a little bit more of a visual experience for your podcast, regardless of it's audio or video only, this is also something that you can do if you are a video podcaster and you have a a guest whose camera wasn't good or they had it off the whole time. You can upload a video or a photo of them so that you can have that sort of visual representation and kind of go back and forth based off of who's speaking. You can align the participants here into different places, change the kind of size and scale of the participants. One of the big things that people wanted was the removal of the watermark. For pro plans and up, you can not only remove the watermark, but you can also upload your own. So that really helps kind of brand your content as you distribute it out in the world. The video format, it's very easy for people to download and re-upload or share directly. When it's watermarked with your own brand, you're creating a durable kind of brand object that can be shared anywhere and kind of come back to you and your brand. So you can reposition your watermark wherever you want it. There's a lot of different things that you can do here as a audio only podcaster or a native video podcaster. We just today launched or relaunched the different output aspect ratios. 16:9, which is what you would get on YouTube, as well as 9:16, which is kind of vertical portrait for mobile. And then the sort of classic square, which is what we're doing for video podcasts as the default, primarily because that is the way that podcasts show up in all of the major aggregator apps, Apple, Spotify, etc. They're square podcast covers. The video that they have as well, when you play your video podcast in Apple, is square. So we wanted to kind of keep true to the format. We have a lot of different options as well for how you output your video. But I'll go ahead and produce and download this one as a square. That was just a lot of me talking. Did I answer the question? Is there anything else, Sunny, we'd like to see here? Anything?
There's more questions coming in. And you were talking a little bit about things becoming a little bit more visual. So I think this ties in with Roman's question about having backgrounds in Zencastr. So obviously, if you're doing video, you may not want to show whatever is in your background. Do we have the ability to be able to change that as of now?
So as of this release, the way that you would change your background is using another program like OBS. There's a lot that we are planning to do in the near future to improve the recording experience for video and audio podcasters alike. This is something that we are kind of working on. It's not quite here yet, but it's on the roadmap.
Okay, let's see. There's a question that's very specific to post-production, since we were just talking about it. It says, currently in the post-production section, the preview is only in square format, but tweaking the look and layout of 16:9 when all you see is a square preview is difficult. Is there any plan to make the preview dynamic so it reflects the actual output you plan to use?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I think this is something that we are having these product discussions today, tomorrow. How can we give podcasters the most amount of flexibility with the type of content that they want to create for the destinations they want to create it for? Because there's so many now, and I think that's one of the great things about podcasting is that the RSS model, the syndication model, allows you to create in one place and sort of distribute all over wherever your audience is. This is something we definitely are looking to improve on. These are the conversations we're having right now. So that feedback is super helpful. We haven't come down definitively one way or the other because these are like conversations we're having today in our product meeting in a couple hours, but that is definitely really helpful. Please let us know kind of where you'd like to distribute to, what formats you'd like to distribute in, and how we can make the post-production process better to kind of accommodate that.
We have some
Yeah, Josh, you say something?
questions. We have some questions coming in regarding Soundboard, which we haven't talked too much about Soundboard. It says, okay, is it available in the free version? I believe not in the free plan, correct?
Correct. The soundboard, which injects audio right now with a few different settings to it, we've found is a great experience for not only saving you time in post-production process, but also just creating a fun vibe. You know, when you hear the intro music and your guest is there and they know they're on a podcast, as well as a lot of utility like injecting pre-recorded ads, or outro music, or all these different things. This is something that we have in our produced plans and above, because it's a time saver. And this is something where, for the people paying for the software, we believe that they're paying us to make their lives easier, make their lives better. So that one is in the pro plan and above.
And I'm going to do a quick screen share so you guys can see what we're talking about. I'm assuming most of you guys know what Soundboard is, but once you are on the recording page, this bar up here, you have the ability to add certain sound effects, and then you can play them live as you're recording live, right? And then it saves it as a separate, I believe it's still just MP3, correct, Adrian? Is what it's saved as?
That's actually, is it MP3? I'm not, let me ask the engineers. I'm not sure if it's WAV as well.
Okay. It used to just be
yeah.
MP3. I'm not sure if we made that adjustment, but this is what we're talking about here. Okay. This is Soundboard, not available in the free plan, as Adrian mentioned. I think there was a couple other questions for Soundboard. They may have already been answered though. We've got a team answering questions. So sometimes you guys are awesome. You get to it before I have a chance to answer it. Let's see. Oh, okay. So this is a related question. Are there any plans to have a video version of Soundboard to include video? You know, as I mentioned, you can just drop in audio, but what if you had a video file you wanted to show? Are there any plans for that?
That's definitely on the roadmap. I think that's going to be really cool. Being able to inject that video in directly, have your guests be able to see it. This is something, as we iterate, yeah, we definitely want like a video soundboard. I'm personally super excited about that. I have a bunch of video clips just ready to be inserted. So another one on the roadmap.
And this has already been answered, but I just wanted to reiterate, since we're on the topic of Soundboard, Gabe asked about what kind of functionality do you have over the clips, right? So we're here, this is Soundboard right here. If, you know, you can add these clips. I always recommend that people do it before they start recording, but technically you can add clips as you're recording, but we don't limit the file size. And if your computer is, not liking you that day, there's the possibility that some could freeze up. So I always say, try to do it before, but if you forget, yes, you can do it while you're recording. But to do this, and I don't know if you're going to hear it, my system based on my setup here, but once they're up here, all you have to do is click it and then it plays it, right? Again, it saves it as a separate file. So you don't have to worry about it messing up your track or the track of your guests. And then you have the ability to click it again. And when you click it again, it fades out. All right. So that's similar functionality that we had before, but there were some questions about what can you do with the clips. And that's really it. You play them, you can let them, you know, play in their entirety, or if you click it again, it will fade out. So Gabe, hopefully that answers your question. Awesome. I don't see, if you guys, if our team, if you guys see more Soundboard questions, I know we're kind of going all over the place. I'm trying to make sure that we can kind of group these together, but as the questions come in, sometimes they're about different topics. If you guys see any other Soundboard questions, let me know. Otherwise, I can move on to some other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I am not seeing anything specific.
Yeah, some of you guys are asking questions for recommendations and stuff, and we can go back in there and answer some of those questions, but I want to make sure that we answer the ones that might be relevant to the most amount of people on the call today. let's see. There's a question, it's kind of alongside, talking about video and the capability of what we can do with video. What about bringing in other types of graphics and things like that to add? Someone was talking about, AS was talking about lower thirds, so that, the graphic that comes up that says who's talking, being able to add more features like that to make their video a little bit, more, exciting, I guess.
Yeah, another one where we have some stuff now. You can enable who is speaking by, I'm actually looking for a very specific recording. Don't remember where I had it. But you can replace individual participants with image. If you go into the video off mode, it then turns it into just where you see the speakers' names, and you can do a lot of different layouts where you can upload images and replace them. Lower thirds, things like background images where you can place individual participants on top of the background image. In the pipeline, stuff that this launch really sets us up to do well and to kind of iterate on quickly. Not quite there yet, but definitely these are other ones in the roadmap as we look to just improve the quality of the output for when you create a video, giving you guys more options to create more cool stuff. We've been seeing some of the stuff you guys have been creating, and it's been awesome. So feedback like this for stuff that helps you create something that you think really pops, love to hear it.
Okay, I think we've gone through all the questions that don't require a more specific answer. Like I said, some of you guys are asking for recommendations and stuff. We can certainly go back over those. If you guys, if you have any additional questions, we can stay on a little bit longer. We're approaching about an hour now, but I want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. So if you haven't, asked your question, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, well, while that's happening, I'll show something for anybody who is interested in our hosting, who is looking to import an existing show that they have. They can go up here to the new button. They can go to show. And this is where you could create one from scratch, or you go to connect your show here and you can search for your show. I'm just going to do a kind of fake one. Or what's the name of, actually, no, yours is already imported.
Mm-hmm.
You can either select it if you have the name, or you can also add it by the RSS feed. There's a link right underneath this input right here where you can add it directly via RSS feed link. We'll send an email to the owner of the podcast here. I'll go ahead and open up my email so I can get it. And once you click confirm, what's going to happen is we'll start importing your podcast for you. We have made the process pretty streamlined so that it's the minimum amount of work on your end. We can white glove specific redirects as well for people who are inside of the Creator Network, just kind of one of the perks of joining the Creator Network. So there's a lot of, I think, work that's been done to make this as seamless as possible, because it's scary when you think about your listeners, and if there's you're switching your host, it might seem like it's either complicated or risky, but Zencastr has gone through a lot of different iterations of this podcast importing process to get it to be as simple as possible. If I go here, I have my shows. Here are some different ones that I have imported. If I wanted to redirect like my traffic from wherever my existing host was to here, I can click this. Here is a video most likely it's going to be based on your host. We have many of the hosts on here that gives you step-by-step instructions. And once you actually do the 301 redirect to Zencastr, you can click confirm redirect and you're done. This one is not redirected, so it's going to give me a little error here saying I haven't done it yet. But then my analytics will start showing up over here in the left-hand rail. Don't have a lot of podcasts right here, but this is where you'll start seeing those graphs, being able to drill down to where your listeners are across the world, which is always fun, seeing who's actually engaging with your content. So just wanted to show that real quick. If anybody else has, or if there's any other questions, Sunny, we can kind of jump into those as well.
Yeah, I wanted to point out, you guys, we have posted some polls. So just like we have the questions tab and the chat tab, there is a polls tab. So I don't know if you guys are big fans of polls, but we have a couple things posted. Adrian was talking about the Zencastr Creator Network. So if you are, interested in learning a little bit more about that, we'd love to know. There's a poll on that. If you're interested in hosting on Zencastr, we just kind of want to get some feedback from you guys on how you feel about some of these things. And then there's also, I'll go ahead and release this one. There's one for how long you've been recording your podcast. So again, just a little bit of information that helps us to know who attended today's webinar and what you guys are hoping to get out of it. So let me check there might have been a couple more questions. Let's see but our team may have answered them.
Yeah, there's one for publishing and hosting. I can go over the publishing one really quick. Okay. So let's say you recorded in Zencastr, but you are doing all your editing in Audition. You can go to New and then Episode, and that'll take you essentially to a blank Produce page here. You can then upload your recording, video or audio. This is something that is we've done some work to sort of streamline, and you'll notice here it has a few different status updates. It has uploading, it has processing. One of the things that we do on the back end here is try to keep the quality of Zencastr as a host as high as possible, because it's a shared host with a lot of different podcasters. So on the back end, we're checking the audio to make sure people aren't, uploading a full song to share out. This isn't to say that you can't, have music in your podcast, all that sort of stuff. We don't really look at your podcast that way. It's more of, is there a legal, is this an illegal file for what would be a podcast, which would be like all audio or something like that. So now this is uploaded, it's selected here. I can go to produce and publish. What this will do is this will just kind of get it ready for distribution as an audio and video podcast. This is because I've uploaded audio, because I uploaded a video file, it will take the audio from the video and use it for my audio only podcast, or I also have options to distribute this as video RSS as well. So here I can name my title. This is my podcast title. I can upload an optional cover image here. This is my podcast description. And then we have other settings that you would have here. Season, your keywords, as well as scheduling. It's going to ask me for a show to publish to. Here is a show I already have. And I am ready to publish. We've taken a very, it can be a multi-step process. It can be someone arduous writing out a very long description, all this sort of stuff. So we're definitely working on improving and streamlining the description creation process, adding things in there that help add value to your listeners and really just help you grow. But it's a simple, 2-3 step process to post a podcast episode. Other questions?
Some of these are more specific. Let's see. Okay, we've talked about, Carrie, you have a question about publishing and hosting on Zencastr. Hopefully, Adrian answered those questions, but if you have specific questions, feel free to post those. There is going to be a recording that goes out. So if you guys missed, if you came late, don't worry. It goes out pretty quickly once we've wrapped up the webinar.
Yeah, and I see a question came in, just where does this distribute to? We have automatic or manual distribution to Apple Podcasts. It's automatic with Spotify. There's a lot of other aggregator apps or platforms that follow the Apple Podcast registry. Overcast. I think there's a few other here as well. You can actually check which ones by going go back to your dashboard, go to your shows. For a specific podcast, you have this reach, this reach button here that also has an icon. If you click it, you can see which ones are connected. You can see if you connect Apple Podcast, which other ones are connected for you. And it gives you instructions on how to connect it easily with links to any that aren't connected already. We're adding a lot of these in. That's going to be in kind of some of our upcoming releases, is extending this out so that you can get on as many platforms as possible.
Adrian, there's a question, and we might need some clarification on this, Chris. Chris posted a question about character counts in the description. He says it's apparently looking at hyperlinks, but not counting those in the count. Will this be adjusted to be more accurate and possibly increase the character limit? So do we have a character limit for descriptions?
So yes, we do. And that maps directly to the Apple Podcast spec character limit. Now, the way that works is it's actually based on bytes and not characters. And you can have multiple characters that, or you can have a single character that is, multiple bytes. And we're improving our sort of intelligence to make it as compatible with as many aggregator apps as possible. I think a good sort of rule of thumb is keeping it under 4,000 characters, but we're definitely improving our intelligence around different UTF-8 characters, as well as things like links. It already accounts for HTML and some of the some other things that might add to that sort of character count. But good call out. I love the attention to detail there. We have a pull request open for our code right now to improve that. So that's a great catch.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else, guys?
I mean, I think most of the questions have been answered short. I mean, I can see some of our team is typing in there. So I know the questions that haven't been answered yet are going to be answered as we go. And some of these are very, very specific. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, guys. And you know how this goes, like until you kind of get in there, get your hands dirty, start creating podcasts and stuff, you're definitely going to have more questions as we go. That's totally fine. We are talking about doing more webinars like this, more webinars that are more focused on different elements of, these features that we have just launched. So we will keep you updated on that. And then hopefully you can rejoin us and we can really get more granular on how some of these features work. But what we wanted to do today is just to, kind of give you an overview, answer any initial questions that you guys had. And then of course, feel free to reach out to our support team when you're on the Zencastr website. It's actually part of the main navigation now. So you can go to support that way. When you're logged in, there's like a little bubble in the bottom. I think it's the right-hand portion of the screen. You can click that. When you're signed into your account, that actually allows us to see who you are and be able to answer your questions a little more easily. Okay. So I think that's it, Adrian. I want to thank you guys all for being here, for participating, for asking questions, for signing up for Zencastr, for being loyal to Zencastr for however long you've been with us. We're always out to have your guys' back, right? We want to make podcasting as simple as possible. That's why we've created these tools. And then we will continue to add to them, to tweak them, to make them exactly what you guys need. That's our goal here. And so again, thank you for being part of this. A replay is going to go out pretty quickly, and we'll see you guys on the next webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.